It's September next week. It's Friday going into Labor Day weekend, so I thought we would do a video on how I'm planning September of 2025. So this is a plan with me, and it's gonna be fun because I haven't done this in a while, and now I'm going to the grocery store, and I'll touch base with you in a second. Did plan my grocery outing using the meal plan card. So you see here. How did chocolate chips get so expensive? Are Nestle chocolate chips $7.29 at your grocery store? We're out this weekend enjoying being away from the dock for a bit. My boys are both back in school, so we waited until sports were done on Friday night before we went out. While they were kicking around a soccer ball, I was finishing up the laundry. I'm grateful we were able to sneak in a sunset cruise, especially this one. Wasn't it beautiful? I made pizzas, I finished folding the laundry, and we even listened to a little bit of an audiobook together while we were underway. My family and I live on our boat, which is referred to as being liveaboards. We're based out of the San Juan Islands. It's an archipelago off the coast of Washington State. You might not live on a boat, but I bet we have other things in common. So today's plan with me is a card deck monthly plan basic or monthly plan light. I've been incorporating goal planning in my card deck, but you don't have to. You can keep it down to the essentials with house cleaning, maintenance, appointments, and maybe some personal items sprinkled in and call it good. My Saturday morning was quiet, with my husband taking my older son off to a soccer retreat pickup location, and my other son was still in bed. So I sat down to do some writing and started shuffling cards. We were anchored in a popular resort harbor that was having a big concert weekend. So when we arrived, it was definitely party time, but in the morning, it was much quieter, but there were still boats coming and going, which was fun to watch. Rather than doing morning pages, I wrote on a prompt from my abundance card deck that had been shuffled in front of today's divider last month. When I was done with writing, I opened up the card deck and started going through some of the cards for the day. So that was things like the vision board card that I have been making fresh with each 12-week year. Again, that's not something you need to do. You don't have to include a vision board card, but I like all of these little things that I do each morning because number one, it brings me back to the card deck. I really look forward to it. It feels good and it's fun to go through each of the cards. And then when I'm there, I am able to see other tasks I need to do for the day. The vision board is something that I make on Canva and then print out, and there's a template I'll link below. But just having that is kind of fun. Then I have a statement about work. Of course, you don't need to include that. But again, it sets my mind. What I'm doing here is essentially what Tony Robbins calls priming his day. So I'm priming my day, putting myself in the best mindset to get the things done that I need to do. But the big thing that we're going to focus on, there's a few cards when we're planning basic with the card deck. And the first one is the monthly review. And if you're new to planning with a card deck, I have a number of other videos on my channel, Time and Tide Plans, that you can look through and figure out what the gist is of what I'm doing. So working on my monthly review, I get started by pulling out the August divider. I've been putting it on that divider because I started doing anniversaries. Each line on the daily date dividers has a space to write down my memory for that date of the month and the year that it's noted on there. I have a video on that and how to do it for yourself because there's a whole process to it, and it's only once a year you do it. So it might sound intimidating and like a lot of work and not helpful, but I really love it. So the same goes with these monthly dividers. They get shuffled into my card box at the end of the month, and I don't look at them again until I review those anniversaries where I'm looking through what I did in the past year, and in doing so, I can see kind of what the lessons were that I learned each month. And I use that in planning the next year. The first prompt for the monthly review is looking at the most memorable moments. I'm looking through my daily date dividers, and this is always something that happens where I get to the end of the month and I think, what did you accomplish? What did you actually do? You just worked the entire month and didn't do anything else. But then when you look through the date dividers, you realize, oh my gosh, actually we did a lot. And it wasn't just those big things. Like we went surfing one weekend, we had family visit. There were some big things in the month, but there was a lot of little things that were really incredible moments. So again, the date dividers is just something I look forward to going through. So anyway, I went through, looked at the most memorable moments, and was grateful for my family and the life that we have together. And then I moved on to things that I wanted to change. Well, it's basically going over things that worked well and what didn't work well and how you're going to apply that into the next month. So I answered the prompts on that August divider, and then I stowed it away in the card box I will stow it away when August is over. So here's the thing about planning the month. I do it when I can. So we needed to leave to the next island. So I went ahead and just paused that. I'll do this later. Just gotta go. And then I came back and started back into the review. I write small and fast because I'm the only one reading this, and I only review them on the divider anniversary, so don't worry about it. I've been thinking a lot about the things that I think a lot about. The changes I'd like to make are in doing the things that are important to me. So when we moved on the boat, I made a lot of excuses for some of the food choices I've made for our family. Then when I took a job over a year ago now, I doubled down on those choices instead of getting back on the right path. And that's something that I've been kind of going back and forward from, because in all honesty, living on a boat is difficult in some things, especially when it comes to food. We have a smaller kitchen, smaller refrigerator, smaller freezer, and there's some little habits that I've changed to accommodate for that. And I don't know necessarily that it's something that's necessary or if it's just something I've talked myself into being okay with. So a lot of this that I would like to change moving into September and just moving into the end of 2025 is about shifting my mindset when it comes to my health, because your health is your wealth, right? So, and it's not just my food and exercise. It's more than that. It's what messaging I'm letting into my environment too. And I know I can't control all of it, but I can control how I react to it. And how I don't want to react to it is by eating a lot of sugar. I'll talk about that in another video with the 12-week year. So keeping on the basic theme. So the monthly review is helpful for me because it's a small space to write where I can get really clear about what has been working and what I want to adjust in my next month. When the monthly review is done, I shuffle that card to a Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday near the end of the following month. It's on autopilot, which, funny enough for me, is less of a reminder to review my month and more of a "it's not time for that yet, Jen" reminder. When I want to start thinking ahead or behind, it forces me to stay in the present until that card comes up, because I love living in the future of possibilities and ideas. And so that card just keeps me grounded in what it is that I'm not supposed to be focusing on yet. So shuffling through my cards for the day, there's a weekly card for a report. The way I handle this now is to create a little week calendar that it's just a template I grabbed off of Canva and made it work for me. This hangs in our salon, and it's an easy way for the kids and my husband to be able to quickly look over what our week looks like. And I like to include some meal items on it when I can too. The notes area is just for that. Things like events that are coming up on Sunday, or reminders, or sometimes quotes. Writing out my schedule is nice because it's a chance for me to process it and forces me to go through it on Saturday morning. And I'm getting better at going through the calendar on my phone. I shuffle the weekly report card to the following Saturday using the monthly calendar to easily find what date that is. Most of the day's cards that aren't daily involve food prep and baking, which I didn't want to do while we're underway, so I looked for more monthly planning tasks that I could do while seated. So I look through the cards waiting for me in front of September. They're all appointment cards. So some are already made and others have notes that I need to make. It's a lot of personal information, so I'm not going to go through that. I'll shuffle them later. Appointments that are made are shuffled in front of the date dividers that they occur on, and if I need to make them, I shuffle them in front of a Wednesday to make calls in. Usually I'd find monthly, seasonal, or annual tasks that are shuffled in front of the monthly divider until that time comes where the daily date divider sits in front of them to shuffle it into the right days. This puts my household maintenance and cleaning on autopilot, and I don't have to sit down and make to-do lists every day, making decisions every day. I set my to-do list once and I run the system as I go, which works out really well for me. I don't think you necessarily have to do that with index cards. You could definitely do it. I've tried it using Trello. I've tried it using just like Google Calendar. And there's just something about having it be on my computer or my phone that just doesn't work well with me. I really do enjoy being able to hold and feel and touch and like move things around visually and just feeling it. So anyway. I have on here a whitey-tidy day. In 2024, you finished with work with some time before getting Kelly, so you stopped at Crow's Nest and got a whitey-tidy coffee drink. It was a nice treat. I didn't remember that, so it just says whitey-tidy day on my calendar. If that works better for you, that's something you can try too. If that works better, I mean, electronically, if you do a lot of things online or on your phone, you can always try that too. So I moved on to my important date reviews. This is where I put the most time in because we're in a new school year and a new sports season, so I need to make sure it's all in my electronic calendar. I take all the big dates I want to remember and might need to know about when I shuffle cards as a list on the monthly calendar card. I touch it every day. I remember those dates, like the Dancing with the Stars premiere is on the 16th. I've watched that show with my boys since they were babies with my mom. And when they were little with my grandma too. And they're not as into it now, but they entertain me by being present for most of it. So I'm really grateful for Alfonso and Jules Huff. They host it, and Britt just got married to Daniel, who was her partner. And this is kind of getting off topic for the basic monthly plan chat, but if you watch the show too, you'll have to let me know in the comments. So that was my time planning the month of September. It's the basic version of planning with a card deck. A monthly review, checking to see if I need to shuffle any monthly, seasonal, annual tasks into date dividers, reviewing appointments and events I'm committed to in the month ahead, and then I continue on with my cards that were shuffled into the day, like making whipped cream, which on Anchor means I'm plugging in the pilot house to use my blender. The whipped cream went great. The avocado, oil, mayonnaise, not so much. I made the egg and oil room temperature, but it was runny still, so I don't know what's going on with that. I spent the rest of the day reading on the deck and getting into this video. Wishing everyone the very best in the month of September.